Welcome to this weekly, bi-monthly, monthly podcast that's unscripted, unrehearsed, uncensored, and occasionally unhinged. I'm Joe Farace, and let's get started. What's in the news? Well, mostly bad news, but there's some good news too. The big news was that Fuji raised the prices of 7 of their negative films. All this comes hot on the heels of a press release from Ilford last month saying that they were increasing the prices on their film and darkroom paper. The price increases range from 3% for Delta 3200 to 7% for HP5. And they did say that some films like SFX 200, a film I'm really anxious to try, and Ortho Plus won't see a price raise. But the interesting thing is they also included an apology, which was kind of refreshing in this day and age. In other depressing news, Street Candy Film announced that they're ending production. He says, the owner, Vincent, says that the price increases of doing business would make him triple the cost of the film, and he didn't really want to increase it to $15, that's Canadian, a roll. And so he said there's 174 rolls left in stock, and if you want to get them while the getting is good. And in some good news, Cosmophoto, a UK company, has announced that its Agent Shadow film has finally rolled off the production lines. This was a Kickstarter project, and Agent Shadow was a 400 speed black and white panchromatic film that can be processed up to 6400. Right now they have a minimum order of 3 rolls, and the price under current exchange rates is $6.53 a roll, which is pretty darn affordable, but you have to order 3, and shipping to my zip code is $10.95, which in the grand scheme of things isn't all that bad. So I'm really anxious to get into some of this stuff and give it a try. So stay tuned for that. Maybe it'll show up sometime in the future as a film of the week. Speaking of the film of the week, we're going to get to that in a bit, but we're going to kick it off here with Camera of the Week, and I'll toss this over to our senior unboxing correspondent who will tell you all about it. Well, hi. We've got a box here from KH Camera. It's no secret what's inside. It's a Canon AT1. But I've been looking for an AT1, but it's been hard finding one in good condition. Part of the reason is because the AT1 was never sold in Japan. It was only sold in the US. It was kind of a bare bones camera. It was a manual only camera. All the ones I've looked at up to this point have been pretty rough. This one, KEH described as excellent. And the price was right, and so I thought, what the heck. This completes my collection of Canon A-series cameras, although regular readers of my blog know that my AV1 has some issues that I either get solved real soon or I'm going to replace it with another, because these cameras are so inexpensive that by the time you spend any money repairing them, it costs more than the camera's worth. So, and now it's in a plastic bag. The lens cap is separate, $3.27, because they will a la carte the heck out of you. But son of a gun. One thing about KH that I really like is they are very conservative in their description of their equipment that they sell. They call this excellent. I call it excellent plus, or yeah, pretty close to Well, it has a little bit of wear on it. So I guess I'll stick with the excellent. But it's in really good shape. And let's see if it has a battery. There's no battery in there because the shutter's electronic. Let's look in the back. Oh, it's pretty clean, and the code is just barely readable. I'm gonna look up here's where they hide the code that translates into when and where the camera was made. And unlike the AV1 and the AL1, it still has the film box lid holder in the back, which I really like. But you know, I'd say it's a really nice, excellent camera, and we'll be talking about it more soon. Thanks for that unboxing, and here's the camera itself. It really looks pretty nice, and I think we'll be getting to it in the not too distant future with a review of the camera and some test film. And speaking of film, and if you go to my blog, you can read about the first 2 rolls of film that are included in Joe's film box. The film was shipped to me from Freestyle Photo. They were our vendor of choice for this April, and they sent it in a bag. I won't tell you what's inside Joe's film box. You have to go to the blog to see it, although in the coming weeks you may get to see it as a film of the week or whatever. The film of the week this week came from Blue Moon Camera. It's interesting, I ordered this a couple days after the film from Freestyle. They both arrived the same day, and this one actually came in a box with a little sticker on it that has their Blue Moon logo, which is pretty cool. Back in the days, 2 guys started a company that we came to know as Rollei, and the company was, of course, Frank and Heidegge. There are people who are Frank and Heidegge, and one was Paul, and the other was Reinhold. Together they created just an amazing family and series of great medium format and 35 millimeters. I mean, did you know that Rollei made a 35 millimeter camera with interchangeable film backs? Yeah, it was like a miniature Hasselblad. Amazing camera. I haven't seen one in a long time. But I always wanted to own one. I mean, who knows, maybe someday I'll find one. But they were an amazing idea, and they had great optics, just like the famous twin lens. Rollei today mostly makes film, and they make some interesting film. Although, according to the word around the filmmaking water cooler, the film is actually manufactured by Agfa, who doesn't really make retail film anymore like they used to. But what they did was Rollei did was come up with a 2-roll package of film. And this has got me pretty excited because this is some ISO 640 black and white film. And they came out with this film to commemorate 100 years of Rollei, which is pretty amazing. And with film that they call Paul and Reinhold. So it comes in a 2-roll pack, and here is Paul, and here is Reinhold. Pretty amazing, pretty great idea. This is a black and white film. I'm really looking forward to shooting some. We'll be following up on a blog post maybe on our next podcast with some examples of either Paul or Reinhold. I'm not sure who I'm going to shoot first. Anyway, Paul and Reinhold film from Rollei. And here's the tip of the day. This usually sells for about 20 bucks, but you can get it for a lot less, like about, I think, like $5 off from Blue Moon. I wound up getting this shipped to me for a little over $20, which is what most people are selling it for if they have it. It's kind of in short supply. But Blue Moon evidently has a lot of it, and I would like to tell you, if you want to give it a try, they're the guys to contact. And now we get to the best part of the podcast. What national day is it? There were so many food-related national days in April that I decided just to put together a little musical homage list of of the days that are in this month that have to do with food. Some of them have to do with booze, so that's kind of good, like National Amaretto Day. I'd like to try some of that. Anyway, here it is. And finally, we get to the question and answer portion of the podcast. The question that I've gotten asked the most since the end of March from people is, in the past, I've celebrated Women's History Month, and I featured various women who I photographed over the years who were accomplished women in addition to being incredible models. I didn't do that this year. And the reason I didn't is a really simple one. And by the way, as we're having this conversation, I'm going to run a few pictures through here, a little B-roll of some of the women that have been featured in the past. The truth is, I haven't had a photo shoot in my studio since November 2019. Hard as that is to believe, that is the truth. So I haven't photographed anybody. I would love to photograph some women for next year's National Women's Month. And if you want to help with that, I have posted some blogs recently and for the last couple of months actually about looking for a new muse. So if you are interested in being a female model and would like to pose for some pictures in my studio, we can do a test shoot. We can get acquainted, have a meeting, whatever works for you works for us. So maybe next year I won't have to answer the question, why did you not feature any women in Women's History Month in your blog? Before we leave the podcast, I would like to mention I'll have an address below if anybody would like to send me any film they would like to see reviewed or shot or whatever. If any other stuff that you may have laying around the house, I got an email from someone recently about that. Please check the mailing address below. Meanwhile, I'd like to ask you, if you don't mind, if you kind of enjoy these things, please give it a like and maybe even subscribe. That would be a real big help for me in trying to achieve my next goal, which is 100 subscribers. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you again real soon.